I realize that I may have unfortunately set incredibly high expectations by doing like 3 or 4 awesome fucking trailers in a row. I'm just gonna feel myself for real quick. The 3v3 grudge match shit was hype. Plugging the 3v3 tournament was hype. The Caliburst Christmas Championship was hype. Fucking everything's been hype. Like building up to Caliburst Rivals. Caliburst Rivals was fucking amazing. And after Rivals, I was tired as shit. So we're back with a regular ass Caliburst. Not everything is going to be as awesome as those, but this is still going to be pretty fucking awesome. For one, I'm stoked to bring back the intermediate bracket and to actually be able to run that shit because we got a lot of people. All right. Oh, sorry, Sky. Real quick. Here's the link to the motherfucking trailer. Y'all go spread that shit. But I'm happy to just get back to a regular ass Caliburst, and we got our regular ass Caliburst here with some good ass fights. So you want to start with Denim versus Phil Joe?
Yeah, let's start with Denim versus Phil Joe. So this is the matchup of definitely one of our like regular sets of people. We see Denim a lot. Never actually saw Phil at a local event.
So Phil actually moved down here for work in like I want to say May of last year. Like it was after the pandemic started. Yeah. So he's never been to an in-person Play Guilty Gear event, which is kind of amazing.
That's pretty good. I'm convinced Phil just looks like Dipper from Gravity Falls, just because that's the only image I have of Phil in my mind. Shout out to my fellow Gravity Falls fans. No bias in this analysis. But so these two, we see them all the time. They play very frequently in our tournaments. Denim, of course, was kind of talking about it in the chat earlier. Just used to go 0-1, then stay for casuals. But we've been seeing Denim go farther and farther. It's really nice to see Denim grow. Phil's been growing like a freaking just a tree, just like ridiculously fast and very solid because Bondren had to sacrifice his one and only Venom status for this, so Phil could grow. So don't ever say Bondren never did anything for the Venom community.
I was tempted to bill Phil Joe as NorCal's number 2 Venom, but I feel like he's got to make it out of intermediate bracket first before that becomes like official. But yeah, this is as you pointed out, right? Like both of these two have been super consistent. Although Denim's in chat saying I haven't played Exert in hell long, blah 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 blah. Shut up! You've been playing super consistently for over really over the last 2 years now, right? Just about like Denim started coming to our events early on, along with Mapachito. And he just kind of kept coming, kept showing up, playing games. It's been super cool. And he's been in 2 Caliburst show matches, right? Because we put him up against Senior Children for the title of Best Bikin', and then we put him up against Mapachito in the Rivals match last month, right? Which is dope because as I was just saying, like competition causes you to grow. It causes you to reorient like how you think about yourself as a player. Denim has had these opportunities to grow through through Wednesday night fights, through Caliburst, both in the show matches and in the brackets, which has been awesome. And Phil Joe's been pushing himself in Wednesday night fights, certainly. And he actually approached me. Normally I reach out to people and I'm like, hey, who wants, like, are you down to play in Caliburst? But he hit me up and he was like, yo, I'd love to play if there's a way that I can get on a card. And at first I was like, so actually originally we were trying to get Dare for this matchup, but Dare has work on Saturday. And so I was like, well, shit, I know someone would be willing to step in short notice. And it's not like Phil is ever like this dude is super consistent. Phil like rolls up in the morning. I think he practices like combos and shit at like 7. Like that's his morning ritual. And Denim rolls up saying, I'll fight anybody. Right. We could have told Denim, yo, this match is actually in JoJo's Fight for the Future. And he'd be like, yeah, that's no problem. Let's fucking go. Pick Pet Shop. I don't give a fuck. Hey, Senior Children and Denim Daddy already cutting a fucking promo. Yo, you can get this. Look, I remember just how bad the internet was when y'all played on for the Christmas championship. We will run that back the moment everyone gets vaccinated. All right, you heard that here first. I don't care what the first in-person event is. If I have to get you two playing at an Exert setup in the middle of a Denny's parking lot, we're gonna fucking do that shit. But for now, Denim, you got an opponent in front of you, and that's Phil Joe 5000.
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about Phil Joe, man.
Yeah, so Phil is the thing that always impresses me about Phil is his ability to throw. Like his air throw game is very strong, and
Mm-hmm.
he plays a character that gets a very good reward out of those throws. You know, Venom just grabs you, and then he can set the balls. He can get whatever setup he wants. I think that is the thing that usually tilts people is when games get a little scrambly, people tend to just jump in IAD like crazy, which
Mm-hmm.
is like pretty much playing into Phil's hands. So that's like really something that people got to be really aware of when they fight Phil. On the other side with Denim, I feel like we we gotta tease out, just have Denim pretend he's playing Mappuccino every single time, because what we saw out of the Rivals card was very good, very a little bit more aggressive than I'm normally used to seeing Denim. I know
Yeah.
Denim has said that he struggles when he's on stream, that he gets a little bit nervous, but I think we've been kind of teasing that out a little bit more and more, and we've really been seeing lots of his labor, like because not just like the WNFs and the Caliburst, but like I've seen Denim, like in the ETFs.
Mm-hmm.
Denim's usually like at least promoting Cephalopods tournament. I don't know if he's usually in that tournament, but if he is, that's another good amount of experience.
Yeah.
And Phil's really normally just in our stuff, right? So it's like Denim's got a lot of reps with a lot of different people in a lot of different places. So
It's
I
true.
think I think if we could just if you just pretend Phil, just like that's my boy, and I'm gonna destroy him. I definitely think we'll have a good match that way. But
Yeah.
just you got to be careful, man. Like Venom will make your life hell if you let him throw you.
And I'm stoked for this matchup because we've got two very different players, right? Like Denim
Mm-hmm.
is the consistent grinder. He's been here for a while, right? Like, yeah, he'll be more or less involved depending on how his shit's going. Phil Joe has been very specific about his approach, right? Like when he loses to someone at Wednesday Night Fights, he will look that up. Like he'll watch tape, he'll prepare himself for the matchup. He'll like if he diagnoses that his Oki sucks, he gets better Oki like within a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he understands that the like XYZ part of his game is not the where it should be, then he's very focused about improving it, which is great. Like that's the kind of thing you want in any kind of fighting game player. But when you're only entering tournaments, it's easy to set the bar as like, oh, well, as long as I didn't go 0-2, I feel pretty good. Or
Right,
as long as I
right,
didn't lose to anyone that I don't normally lose to, I'll feel
exactly.
pretty good, right? And it's different when you're sitting down and there's just one opponent, right? On
Mm-hmm.
one hand, you get to focus. On the other hand, like it's not like you have a loser's bracket to look forward to or anything. Like you get dumpstered
Right,
3-0, you got to hold that shit.
exactly. And we always bring this up. I always bring this up. You gotta fight the player when you're fighting against Biken.
Mm-hmm.
Biken is
Yeah.
very tough to just like one size fits all.
Yep.
Especially for Venom. A
Because
lot of the stuff
Azami and
can
Dark
be a
Angel.
zombie. Exactly. You can Azami Dark Angel. Bondrin likes to complain about this a lot. He's like, I hate Biken because I can never do my cool setups on her because she's just
Yeah.
gonna wake up as a zombie. So the
Yeah.
threat of that, or maybe he doesn't a zombie. It's that rock paper scissors. It's the threat of a zombie is always on the table when you're balls don't hit. Venom can hit high low, but the ball itself is a mid, right?
Yep.
So something's fast enough to come out and take him out.
Yeah, so it's a hell of an opening event to be sure. And then next up we got Forrest versus Vic, which is another
Yeah.
another one I was dying to put together for a couple of reasons.
Uh-huh.
So plenty of people who are newer to Caliburst actually might not know Forrest because we haven't seen him since like May or thereabouts. I think like I think he showed up in bracket a couple times for Wednesday Night Fights, but he's been kind of in and out. When like I met Forrest in Game Center like years ago. Because
Yeah.
I just showed up one Saturday to play some gear. Like there wasn't an event or anything, but I showed up and I was just sitting down playing, and Forrest was the only other person playing Exert. So we sat down and played for I think an hour or two. And I was like, all right, well, fuck Elfelt. I'm gonna have to murder him.
Yeah.
But he took it in stride, and
Yeah.
he's another player that I knew like when we still had locals, like he was coming pretty consistently, and when he was
Yeah.
coming, he was getting better.
Yeah.
And then he had a solid run through intermediate bracket early on, and then he kind of dipped out for a little bit. You know, I don't know what he's been up to, but he hit me up about a month or two ago and was like, "Hey, I'd love to get back in the action." If this and we had him fight against, was it Strobes?
Strobes.
Yeah, we had him fight against Strobes in and I think it was the first Caliburst.
That was the first Caliburst show match, and Strobes took that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. 4H took that. Strobes, you're in the chat. You know, he'll cop to that.
Yeah. But yeah, so since then we hadn't seen that much of Forrest, and you know, whenever anyone comes up to me and it's like, "Hey, I want to play a match," like I take that shit seriously, right? Because we do this shit to make sure that the local community wants to stay engaged with the game, and they want to, they want to stay, connected to this game. They want to get better, and to see that out of Forrest, I was like, "Yo, this is sick," and I have just the opponent for you. Right? Vict has been crushing it in bracket lately. Yeah. He has taken me to like the last pixel like 4 times in the last month. I think he just beat TomTom, and what I want to say was probably one of his first times beating TomTom in bracket. Like the dude is just, I don't know what he's been on lately. Like this dude's been a grinder since the Wednesday night fights in person days. He showed up to some of our first events. I remember. Yeah. I remember, and that was when we were best of ones. I remember he made it like one game and then he had to play Daymendo, and I was like, cool, you're gonna learn a lot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I remember, like, I don't know how I figured this out, but Vict, I remember being like an online monster, like played online a lot. Maybe I've seen Vict on like multiple streams before. Mm-hmm. So this is basically the tale of like, the grinders, right? Because Forrest was definitely like, what I remember was Forrest used to come from a long distance, didn't necessarily have the best internet.
Yeah.
So every third Saturday of the month, we'd always see Forrest grinding it out in Game Center, trying to downplay out. Yeah, I remember.
Tay dropping some Vict lore here real quick. I guess they used to net play on Sign back in PS3.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's tight. Wild.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, these are I would say these two players definitely play a lot. Like you said, Forrest hasn't played as much. I want to say he had an injury or something. I want to say Strobes told us that one time, but it's really great to see Forrest back in there. And I'm not even going to talk about this matchup on paper because this matchup on paper sucks. Let me tell you right now, Elfeld devours Venom for free. Or Slayer for free.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you can watch Lost Soul versus Daymendo.
Yeah.
The winner's final set was bad, and the reset wasn't great either. It's just not a lot he can do against 5H. But I think Vict has really good sense of when you're panicking.
Mm-hmm.
Vict is very
for goddamn sure he does. Yeah.
Vict is really good at setting the pace to make it extremely scrambly. I like to call, I like to joke that Vict is NorCal Vero, because he definitely does those things where it's like you're just like, okay, well, he's gonna grab any second now. You just wait. There's a timer. He's like a shark, right? He can't survive life without grabbing you once or twice in the same string. But coming into this, so I haven't seen Vic play against a lot of Elfelds. Outside of like Giuliano, that's happened a couple times. But I know Forrest used to play against Yellow Swerve, who was also a NorCal Slayer.
Yeah, and super solid. I remember getting demolished by Yellow Swerve in casuals at Guilty Beer.
Yeah. And Yellow Swerve, interestingly enough, makes this more interesting because Yellow Swerve, I used to be like, you're just a grappler player. Like, why aren't you playing? He was just always like full screens, like that dash, run up, bite. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so I think Forrest might have a little bit of an edge just because he's a little bit more familiar. Playing in Slayer has someone to call upon. For Vic, not so much, right? Like it's really hard to get a hold of the Elfelds unless you're like asking CT or you run into Juliana, right?
I mean, AA
So
landline's not like a bad elf elt. Like, you'd probably get some practice.
yeah, yeah. One of
I
these days I'll be back. One of these days.
one of the interesting things about this matchup for me is that both of them have very defined certain patterns are very defined, right?
Yeah.
And with Vict, like he is very frequently fishing for like tech traps or looking for reactable situations to punish people who go for tech buttons. Forrest mashes tech buttons like a motherfucker. When I was cutting foot, like I remember he did this to me when I used to play him, and that was actually like that was how I knew. Once I realized how often he goes for tech buttons, that would be the thing that I use to make sure he doesn't fuck up my NorCal dogfight run. Right? Was I'd go for like 2D into Rekka, wait for him to tech button 6P 6H, and I'd get the damage that I got off of that. Like I'd be able to get it again and again and again. I don't know if Forrest is watching this. I don't know if Forrest has changed the shit up much, but right off the bat, I would say that you're right. The character matchup definitely favors Forrest. And I think Forrest probably has a little bit more tournament experience than Vic, though at this point, I don't know. But if Forrest doesn't change up his tech button stuff, I anticipate that he's going to get like crosswise like 80 times in a first to 3.
So the thing is you're very right about these two are definitely like there are patterns you can like. Obviously, we watch everybody, so we recognize that. But the thing that I feel like for both of these is this could easily end up like 3-0 for either person because when they're on, they are on. Like Forrest is really good about running the LFL game plan. If you let him knock you down, you're going to have to pray for your life that you guessed right. And, you know, with Vic, it's like, if you let him live, you're going to have to pray for your life. You shoot him. Like, you finish him off. So,
and
if this one, this one's going to be wild.
Yeah. It's, in addition to that, I think we also haven't seen these two playing in first to 3s very often, right? And that is its own thing. Forrest probably has a little bit more experience, again, due to intermediate bracket. Well, actually, I don't know about that because Vic has been winning or placing in ETF at the very least. So he's getting some first to 3 sets in,
multiple times. Beat Wabbit, beats Kev.
Yeah. So the seeing how these two get used to the adaptation game is going to be fantastic. I'm super excited for this one. Next one, we got Ghostier versus Singa.
Yeah. So keeping in the theme of new blood, we want to talk about the king of the grinders. Singa is a monster when it comes to that.
Yep.
I want to say like there's like an intermediate bracket. Might have been the first time we heard about Singa. Singa signed up for that and was like, "Hi, I'm unironically a random select main." I'm like, "All right, Brad, like whatever, right?" Like, but Singa puts in a lot of time. Very smart, very aware of the nuances of the game. Is definitely like a library, right? Like if you have no idea how to fight X character, Singa has a slight idea. And it helps that Singa plays like the weird characters too, like Zato. I see Potemkin. I want to say I saw Faust at one point. Soul Bad Guy, like just all over the spectrum when it comes to them.
When we were putting together a squad, because SoCal wanted to run a random select 5v5.
Right.
And so I was putting together the NorCal squad. The event ended up falling through, but Singa was definitely like one of the top on the list of like, oh shit, we need Singa on the squad, just because like finding anyone who's as competent with such a wide array of the cast is just hard, you know?
Absolutely. So my guess is it's going to be Zato. I feel like when the chips are down,
he said he's probably gonna be playing Zato for this one. And you know, like Zato versus Sin is a weird one. I would expect Zato buttons to get stuffed a lot.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. So once again we have Ghostier showing Sack That Love. Ghostier has been in a handful of these now. Beat Hello Mellow.
Yeah, beat Hello Mellow.
Lost the mirror match to One Bin.
Yep.
Who There's another guy who's been stratosphering to the top of our list, but he's got work, so we're not talking about him now. But the thing is this is the interesting bit about this matchup is I know Singa's played one bin a good amount,
Mm-hmm.
but as we know, Ghostier doesn't really play like one bin. One
Yep.
bin is in the Kizzy K style, very patient, looks for his opportunities, wants to like whip punish, right? Punish you, try to set the pace a little bit. Ghostier is like very aggressive. You get the knockdown, he's going in, right?
Yep.
Like he doesn't always like immediately go for the eat. And I think the thing about Ghostier too is kind of one of the things we noticed when the last time we saw one bin play Komonobara is Komonobara was getting kind of called out for his eats. Ghostier, not so much, right? Because he's played Sin for a while, like a
Yeah.
long time. So he's really like good about his eating patterns. I think out of the Sins in NorCal, I think he's probably the best about like making sure like if he's gonna go for a risky eat, he's like in a safe situation. It's
Yeah.
rare that I see him get punished on his eats.
Yeah. I mean, even in the trailer, the highlight clip that I got, one of them, like you're calling out Ghostier. He's like, "Yo, he went back in because he bursted. He was low on calories, and then he made the decision to kind of keep one bin in the corner instead of trying to eat and get back up there, and it paid out, right? But like, I could tell that you weren't surprised because Sin went back in. You were surprised because Ghostier went back in.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely the thing. Is like I feel like yeah, Ghostier played this character for so long. Definitely like I like his playstyle. I would say is a little bit more aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also safe in the right places, right?
Yeah. Hey, Cheese a Path, thank you for the 25 months, homie. Appreciate
So
it.
it's going to be interesting because we kind of go back to the other bit we talked about. So Singa has that experience against one bid, but very different playstyle. So
Yep.
it's really so how much of that experience is going to help? Obviously, knowing what to look for, sin buttons,
Mm-hmm.
moves, where to expect those moves, that helps. But playstyles are hard to replicate.
Yeah. And
So
so when I was going through Singa's clips, I ended up only using clips where Singa won with Drunkard Shade because I was
uh,
so impressed by how like how he used the tool, right? It's a
yeah,
reflector, but it can be a lot more than that if you know how. And that isn't like this isn't a surface level Zato. This is someone who's actually studied a lot of the applications of Zato's weird ass tool sets. And
exactly.
uh and with Ghostier, it's like not only do you have to prepare for Zato, who's just not that popular a character in Rev 2, you have to prepare for someone who knows likely both the ins and outs of their tool set and yours.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. I know Richard used to say there was a Zato in Sac, so I don't know how well
Mm,
Ghosty was prepared for the matchup. But Singa, along with I would say Singa, I would put up there with Phil in terms of the air throw game. Singa's air throws are very good as
I mean,
well.
any Zato has to be good at air throws if they're going to stick around.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So didn't Singa like get second in that random select tournament with Dizzy and
Yes.
all they did was just the air throw for like most of it?
And really, like the only reason Singa didn't take first is because I rolled Jam,
Yeah,
who I had been learning for a couple months at that point to help Irene out, to help her get started.
yeah,
So, yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Honestly, it could go either way. Like I wouldn't be able to
yeah,
put money down on this one at all, just because
yeah.
it could be super explosive in Ghostier's favor, or Ghostier might just
Exactly.
get run over by a whole bunch of Zato bullshit he's not ready for. And
Yeah.
speaking of getting run over by bullshit that you're not ready for, our main
And
event of the
we are.
evening, we got
Yep.
CT Warrior versus Dandy Cam.
Yeah. This is the classic, right?
Yeah.
CT Warrior needs no introduction. Has three strong characters, and we don't know which one he will choose.
Yeah.
But Cam, there's no secrets what Cam's gonna do, right? Jacko, strongest Jacko in NorCal, probably California, maybe West Coast, right?
Yeah.
If you are in NorCal and you have played Cam, you are better for it, and you are stronger against Jackos that you've never seen or talked
Yup.
or played before.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, so yeah, let's set this straight. Like, we call Cam Oakland Security because he
Yeah,
gatekept Vogue-kun out of like, it's like the second round of Wednesday night fights. Um
true.
and like, as wonderful as it is to have a Jacko in your local bracket, like, shout outs to Cam for making sure that everyone here knows the fucking matchup, right?
Yeah,
Including CT. These two meet in semis or in finals all the time.
quite a bit. Yeah, yeah, and it's I think it goes a few ways. So I think probably of the three, Kai seems to maybe not do the best.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that's just because Kai is easier to game plan for than Soul and
Yeah.
Alpha. Those are the wild card characters. CT plays a very traditional Kai Kisuke. Like I've seen Cam do pretty well against Super Raptor too. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's really not. It's kind of hard to reinvent the wheel with Kai, but Soul Bad Guy, just that speed, the damage he can output. He just chooses to kill wife in those moments. And Alpha Valentine, the toxic Valentine, can be really tough because on paper that matchup is kind of weird. Like I think it's slight Alpha favor, but like
Mm-hmm.
Jacko has the tools to really infuriate Alpha. But like all Alpha needs is that one knockdown, and Jacko doesn't have the tools to escape. That's kind of the rough part. Um, so this matchup's probably going to be extremely momentum heavy. Like it's going to be close,
Yeah.
but it's going to be extremely heavy. Like when when these players are on their game, it just feels like there's no hope, right? Like
Yep.
you just like you're all right, whatever. I'm going to the next round. Like forget this.
Yeah. And like, with regards to CT and specifically the way he plays Kai, he's got he's got a pretty specific style to it, right? Like, I could see Cam doing pretty good against Super Raptor, because in my mind I just think of Super Raptor as like a good solid Kai,
Yeah,
maybe goes a little wild here and then, but who doesn't, right? CT is like incredibly sharp around certain interactions, around certain moments, around certain elements of risk. Like, you playing against CT is the most Street Fighter I've ever felt Guilty Gear feel, short of playing Strive anyway.
uh-huh.
Because he's just methodical with his screen position. He's like
Yeah.
he doesn't let people get away with bullshit, right? And
Yeah.
if you're ready for it, if you're ready to play not against Kai but against CT Warrior, right? If you get ready early on, then great. Right, then you get to have this solid match. But if you don't go into the match remembering how CT plays, then you might give him a game or two while you just like get accustomed to the CT Warrior Kai.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and
and interestingly enough, even though CT is often fucking up our shit in Wednesday night fights brackets, his record in Caliburst actually is not that strong, right?
yeah,
He had super close 3-2 losses to Kanasi and Popo Ring.
yeah,
And
yeah, and
yeah,
it was Kai both times.
yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe it's time to change. It's hard to game plan for CT.
yeah,
It's in this kind of scenario, especially.
yeah.
You have no idea what he's going to pull up with.
Yeah, and it's also not to shit on CT or anything. It's also worth pointing out that Cam's record in Caliburst has been kind of up and down too, right? He lost to Popo Ring as well.
Yep.
He lost to Pepsi. And then most recently in the January card, he beat GC Yoshi in a super close one, right? Which is awesome for Cam. Go him. But like, the fact is, so actually I hit up a couple folks, including Wabbit, including Popo Ring, and they are not playing video games, or at least not playing gear these days. I think they're too busy with other shit. They had to put it on the back burner and focus on some other stuff. So realistically, like, if you look at who is in contention for a potential title shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're pretty much looking at CT and Cam as the two front runners. Like, we might sort through the records and find, oh shit, there's another match we can make, or maybe maybe Pepsi comes back, maybe Angry Black gets in the action, you know. But right now, as far as the Caliburst competitive pool goes, like these two are looking at potentially getting the number one contender slot from this match.
Right. Yeah. This is and it's no surprise, right?
Yeah.
You know, frequent top four of our WNFs is like some measurement of these two and a wild GC Yoshi, you or Tom Tom, right? So
Yeah.
like this is no surprise. Yeah, like I think more than anything, it just goes to show like what you always talk about, right? Show matches are so different.
Yeah.
Right. Because if we were just like if you just said to me like on paper, CT Warriors going 0-2 at this and Cam's a 1-2, I'm like, who are they playing? Like Machabo, like Obito, like what's going on here, right? Like Lost Soul was NorCal all along, like some, you know, it's like it's crazy, right? But like that's what happens in these show matches, right?
Yeah.
You have to really focus in on that person.
It is a different game, right? You got to focus on that person, but you also don't have the luxury. Like CT Warrior can go into a Rev 2 bracket pretty cold, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to get a first round bye, and then whoever he plays round 2 is probably is probably not going to be anywhere near him, right? You don't get that luxury. I'm pretty sure that was actually one of the key things that led to Cam taking it over Jason in January. Was Jason looked cold in his first game or two.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talked to Cam about is like usually Jason wakes up towards the end, but Cam just kind of ran away with it. And it happened, you know, in person too. It was the same thing, right? Like I remember when Cam eliminated Jason in the single limbs, he was like, "Oh yeah, I gotta remember how to fight Jacko."
Yep.
And that's the key, right? You gotta remember how to fight Jacko.
Absolutely. And, you know, it goes without saying, like, we don't have many Jackos to practice with, right? Like, Cam can probably find another Kai player. Unless CT is going to try and convince Hano to come back to Rev 2 and bust out the Jacko, like, who we got?
Not a lot, right? You know, we had a couple intermediate people. I think the other white meat, so he's kind of been MIA. But yeah, there's not a lot of Jackos, right? There's a lot of Kais, you know, there's a lot of souls. You can find a random soul online that's not going to be at, like, CT's not that crazy, but at least it keeps you prepared for the wild stuff, right? Like, you're like, okay, well, they're going to do this. I'm going to remember that, right?
Yep.
And kind of same with the Elfeld, but yeah, this is our main event for a reason, right? This is the one we could theory craft all night, but
it's true.
We're gonna see it happen on Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday, show match is starting around 3 p.m. You can reasonably expect. All right, well, actually, let's see. We usually run all of beginner bracket on stream, and then intermediate bracket. That usually puts us closer to 3:30. Pacific time. Thank you, Railman. Realistically, CT Warrior and Cam are probably coming on closer to like 4:30 at the earliest is my guess, though it depends on how the rest of the card goes. So definitely come through this Saturday for Caliburst New Blood. And once the show match cards are over, go ahead, stick around for some plus R. It's always a good ass time. Monabe the homie streams it on her stream and gets like the VTuber get up going and everything. And it's open to all of North America. So if you're in North America, you want to play some motherfucking plus R, just go ahead and join up.
Yeah, hell yeah. Get ready to curse a bunch of characters you'd never heard of before.
That's right. Plus R is a whole new set of matchups to learn. Fuck ABBA. Man. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to let you go, Aaron. Thank you so much for coming through. And
always a pleasure.
Hell yeah.